This is Matt Weinstein, and this is his wife, Janine Roth. He is a well-known speaker, and she is a successful author. Their life was good until the moment they lost everything, their hard-earned money they had accumulated over 30 years, around $1 million in one day due to a fraudulent scheme. After the tragedy occurred, the couple felt like they had lost everything in their lives, and their relationship began to strain. They couldn't adapt to the idea of starting over after all this time and after the loss that shattered them. Hold on a moment. All of this didn't happen in reality. The truth is that the couple managed to overcome the shock and start anew. In fact, Janine wrote a book about their experience called Lost and Found. She talked about how they did lose their money, but they still had other blessings. They were still breathing, seeing the beauty around them, enjoying good health, and as Weinstein said, yes, Madoff stole our money, but being careful not to let him steal what's left of our lives was up to us. The difference between the first and second scenarios in the last sentence lies in the choice they made not to let their remaining life be spoiled, and to hold on to what they still had. Indeed, during all the difficult circumstances and situations we face, it may not be in our hands to choose whether they happen or not, but it is in our hands to choose how we deal with them. Since it's not always that easy anyway, today's book, You Can't Ruin My Day, provides us with ways to handle life's problems and how to overcome them without allowing them to ruin the rest of our lives. To understand the mechanisms of preserving our lives from being spoiled by anything, let's begin with the story of two friends, Noah and Jacob, who faced significant difficulties in their college education. Both of them failed in their first year of college and had to repeat it. Noah believed that most people face difficulties in their first year of college, while Jacob considered himself a failure. Dear listener, who do you think succeeded in the following year? And who dropped out of their educational path and left college? Yes, Noah succeeded, and Jacob didn't complete his education. The difference here lies in how the story was framed, even though the situation was the same. This is a technique known as story correction, as described by the psychologist Timon Wilson. He tells us that any small change you make to your personal story can completely change your life. Trying to understand bad events can be painful, and questions like, why did this happen to me, or why did I disappoint them, can be mentally and emotionally draining. A real-life example of this is a yoga instructor whose wife passed away from a severe illness. He realized that he had been telling the same story for years, and each time, it increased his pain. Even though the story was true, it was making the whole situation more tragic instead of helping him cope with the loss. He also realized that the story reinforced his victimhood, to the point where he defined his identity through this struggle. He finally understood that he wouldn't be able to move forward unless the story changed, at least from the perspective he narrated it. Since then, when he tells his story, he focuses on the love in the story and the resilience he displayed, appreciating the time he spent with his wife. This leads us to the second important mechanism, searching for the good news in anything. For example, losing your job is bad news, but it can also be an opportunity to look for a much better job. This doesn't mean denying pain and sadness, but it means not allowing difficult circumstances to prevent you from seeing the remaining blessings and positive aspects of your life. The author cites a blogger who shares a moment of happiness every day, even if it's something very simple. During her mother's funeral, she found something positive to share, the feeling of love from those around her as they shared her grief. Even in tough times, you'll find precious moments that deserve your gratitude. The truth is, when we constantly desire what we don't have, we often overlook what we already possess. If you want more blessings in your life, you must be grateful for what you already have. So, grab a notebook and write down something you're thankful for every day, and try not to repeat things too often. Strive to discover new things to appreciate all the time. The author tells a story about a farmer whose horse ran away. People said, "What terrible luck." He replied, "We'll see." The next day, the horse returned with 2 wild horses. People said, "What great luck." He replied, "We'll see." The following day, his son tried to ride one of the wild horses and broke his leg. People said, "What terrible luck." He replied, "We'll see." On the day after that, the army came to draft young men for the war, but they left his son because of his broken leg. People congratulated him on his good fortune, and he replied, "We'll see." Here, the author advises you to maintain a neutral perspective because some people go through life playing the victim role, feeling that the world is conspiring against them and that life is intentionally treating them poorly. So, stop this. First, because no one is really paying attention to you. Second, because you're confining yourself to a narrow negative view while the universe operates on a much broader scale. The next mechanism for preserving your day is evaluating the meaning. After we learned about Noah and Jacob in the beginning, let's look at the story of Oliver and Jack, who are neighbors. Their third neighbor spoke rudely to them. Oliver ignored the situation and decided it wasn't worth taking up space in his life, while Jack took it as an affront to his dignity and constantly felt pressured. How would you choose to react? The idea is that bad things happen anyway, but you give weight to every situation and add meaning and importance to it. So, when someone annoys you or you find yourself about to engage in an argument, ask yourself, do I want to be right or do I want to be happy? Honestly, if I were in your place, I'd choose emotional peace and happiness, especially when facing a foolish situation. Ask yourself how the situation that's about to ruin your day will look after 5 minutes, 5 months, or 5 years. Most of the time, you'll see it from a different perspective, and you'll realize its true size and significance. The next mechanism for living a beautiful day is to accept things as they are. The author shares that he used to argue with his father about certain things he believed were wrong, which created tension between them. However, he realized that he couldn't change his father and decided to take a step back and accept him as he was. At that point, their relationship began to improve, and he started to find humor in what he used to consider a problem. This is an important rule, accepting your inability to change others and accepting people and things as they are, not as you wish them to be. Furthermore, learning to let go is crucial. Do you remember that time when you were searching for something, couldn't find it anywhere, and it seemed to have disappeared? Then, as soon as you stopped looking and gave up on it, you found it as if it magically appeared. Some things are resolved by releasing them or letting go of your attempts to control them. Clear yourself of old conflicts, past frustrations, and previous problems. Create space for something new and positive. For example, when you forgive others, you free yourself from the burden of hatred and anger, and by forgiving yourself, you achieve the same release. Everything mentioned so far is about awakening and changing your approach to life. But to maintain your happy life, you need wisdom. This starts with setting intentions and taking real steps toward them. You also need to let go of perfectionism because if you strive for perfection in your job, your children's behavior, your life partner, or anything else in your life, you'll never be satisfied, and even the smallest and most insignificant things can ruin your day. Accept the fact that imperfection is part of life. If you want more happiness in your day, be kind to others. Be generous, show gratitude, offer help, and have compassion for all people. Remember that they are all humans with their own problems and struggles, just like you. So, if someone annoys or provokes you, respond with kindness, and be the positive influence they encounter in their day. Harness the power of words. Often, if you tell a patient that a medication might make them feel nauseous, they will indeed feel nauseous. There is even a placebo effect, where fake medications are prescribed to patients, and the result is a real improvement in their condition. As humans, we are greatly influenced by words. Therefore, we need to be mindful of our speech, thoughts, and the things we see and hear, directing them towards positive matters because we are inevitably affected by them. Pay attention to the words you tell yourself, and you should turn them into positive ones. While we may not always control our thoughts, we can always control our words. Repetition plays a role in the subconscious, and through it, we can gain control over our thoughts. Wisdom also involves staying open to others, learning, and benefiting from everything. This happens when you embrace the idea that you can learn from others, that they can be right, and that you can let go of the notion that you are always right and have all the knowledge. It is also wise to stop complaining. Expressing frustration about some things is natural, but it's not acceptable to complain about everything all the time. This constant complaining can make our mood sour, affect our mental health, and harm those around us. Moreover, the problem often isn't just the complaining itself, but the fact that no action is taken to solve the problem in the first place. Now, I told you to embrace wisdom, didn't I? Have you embraced it? Well, now I want you to do the opposite entirely. Don't take everything so seriously. We need to return to being children to maintain our happiness. I'm serious, just listen. The author tells a story about an actor who was suffering from depression, and his young son asked him, "Dad, what do you want for your birthday?" The father replied, "Happiness." On his birthday, the son gave him a gift with the word happiness written on it and said, "As you can see, Dad, I can give you happiness." We need to maintain the spirit of childhood within us to bring joy back into our lives. So, if someone angers you or you find yourself in a difficult situation, take a moment and think, how would a child in your place behave? Or try asking a child how they would handle your problem. Even if they can't provide you with a practical solution, they'll likely succeed in making you laugh. For example, the author's mother, as she grew older and needed a cane to move around, gave her cane a cute name. When there was music, she used it as a dancing partner. She could have considered it a reminder of her weakness and incapacity, but instead, she chose to keep the fun in her life. Try to maintain fun in your life, look for humor in any tough situation you encounter, and use it to lighten the situation. Make your motto, add fun to tears, stay playful, and don't take yourself more seriously than necessary. Lastly, I want to say to you, live your life as if you were to die tomorrow. Stop asking why this happened to you or what you did to deserve it. Instead, ask yourself how you can deal with it now that it has happened. The idea that this could be your last day will make you not overvalue things, be kinder to yourself and others, and remember that endings are also beginnings. When one door closes, another one opens. However, we often dwell on the closed door to the point that we overlook the one that's wide open. One more thing, write a love letter to the people you care about, and don't forget, you also deserve a love letter. You deserve appreciation simply for being you. Don't question whether you deserve it, just accept it. And for that, give yourself a big round of applause. And that's it. See you next time, peace.